Good morning again. So first we would like to thank you all for being here, and we would like to thank Florian Eichler and Katie Walsh who helped putting this together. This is great that the DMG is working on this. Can I talk? I don't want to chit-chat too much. We have a very dense program. We have a lot of great speakers here today. And then tomorrow is the Patient Learning Academy, which will really try to focus on providing some educational information for patients and their families. So can I have the first slide?
The flipper's up.
Okay. This is on.
Mm-hmm.
So what is AldConnect? And while we are fine as a non-for-profit organization, I think it's important to emphasize we are really the ALD community. It's all of us. It's the patients, it's the doctors, it's the researchers, it's the industry partners who are part of this, it's the patient families, it's those who are advocating for us, and everybody else who considers himself or herself a stakeholder in this field. And so the idea was that to be all-inclusive with that very purpose that we want to share and we want to engage with each other. And the mission that we came up with is, I think, a no-brainer. It's pretty straightforward. The mission is to improve the health outcomes for individuals affected with ALD by raising disease awareness, empowering patients, accelerating the translation of scientific advances into better clinical care. Of course, we would like to eradicate ALD. That's what we would like to do. And again, this is a community, and I was just thinking that yesterday we were talking about this with the other board members, that we've been now around for 4 years. And we're basically hitting our 5th year now, because we were founded in 2013. And so after 5 years, or after 4 years, it's good to sort of reflect and say, what have we done? And again, I'm not referring to us as AldConnect, but as the ALD community. And if you think about what the ALD community has achieved in the last 5 years, it's actually amazing. So newborn screening, when we first started, did not yet exist for ALD. And now we have it rolled out, thanks to Lisa Seeger and many others who were involved. It's now federally recommended, and every day I hear that another state has joined in. And that's a huge thing, because we are now saving lives that we couldn't save before. And this is actually a main driver for us to exist as an organization, to try to come up with ways that we can deal with this new scenario, with this new world. The other thing is that we have had now very promising results published very recently by a group of investigators, including the team at Mass General at the University of Minnesota. It's actually a multinational study conducted by a company called Bluebird, using ex vivo gene therapy, and it's quite promising because it seems to be a procedure that is less invasive and less harmful as the regular bone marrow transplantation for the boys. And so we're hoping that this is really going to hold up these promising results and become eventually standard of care. There's been at least one completed AMN trial in Europe. We're still waiting for the results of a compound by a company called MedA. There's currently another company called Minorix that is starting now a clinical trial of a new drug that they have that's happening in Europe, and the hope is that they're going to move to the United States. That's what we were told last week by the chief medical officer. There's also another company called Neurovia that is about to start a trial of another new drug in Australia, and hopefully they will move back to the United States as an American company. So there were several trials that have actually started or being done within these last few years since we started the organization. And even beyond that, if you look around here, there's multiple industry partners and there's multiple new research and development programs for new drugs and new treatment strategies for ALD. So from a long-term perspective from somebody in the shoe of our side, on the investigator side, this is extremely encouraging and promising. That you're getting to the point that we actually didn't think it would happen 10 years ago. We were very neglected 10 years ago. There was not a single company that had any interest in this disorder in the mid-2000s when I was working with Hugo Moser. And then I looked up last night how many papers have been published. And if you just type in adrenal leukodystrophy in the search term in PubMed, this is just since September 2013, 2,184 publications. So there's no shortage of research. Of course we could do better, of course we could do more, but there has been a lot of work that is going on. And one of the main things that we have achieved, I think, as an AldConnect partnership is that we were able to put together a protocol to try to standardize the way we approach data collection with patients, and also now we're still working on trying to standardize how we take care of patients in between the major sites that deal with this disease. So, what are the core activities of AldConnect? Just briefly, and I think this is something that is in an evolutionary process. This is not set in stone, and this might change by the end of the day to day. But we sort of have the board of directors to try to come up with the guidance as to which direction we want to take, and the board is, by the way, not just doctors. It includes multiple patients and other people there that are advocates. And so one side is obviously our annual meeting and the Patient Learning Academy that's on top in red, so you can read that well. And we think that it's important to get together, to see each other, to talk to each other, to start new programs, to start new collaborations. One is the website and webinars that we are working on. One is something that we call the Industry Advisory Council that's been now going on for, I think, about almost 2 years, or a year and a half, where basically we sit together with industry partners and just chat, and hoping that we can get from them advice as to what kind of research is important for them to translate their drugs. And on the other hand, I think they want to learn from us what are the important things that they need to know to get their drugs into the patients. And lastly, we have a database system called Neurobank, and then also a patient portal site where patients can go in and provide their information. And we're hoping that gathering this information will be helpful eventually as we move on towards clinical trials and can serve potentially as a platform for these trials. So, lastly, what's sort of the goal of this meeting? And I think what's the main thing I think for us is to sort of come to a point where we're going to try to set the milestones for the future. And so what we are hoping we can achieve is sort of coming up with what are the strategies that we need to define to fulfill our mission, right? The mission as a consortium. And some of the things, and these are kind of just my thoughts, but I think most people will agree, is that we're hoping that we can find ways to maximize collaboration between the different centers. That's one of the things. Academic centers come up with plans of standardization of care, especially when it comes to newborn screening. Now, identifying babies, that we need to have a plan in place so that we identify them, identify family members at risk, come up with a treatment plan or a monitoring plan that is properly followed and is standardized across different sites, so that we don't diagnose a baby and yet miss to identify the sibling who's also affected, or that we don't diagnose a baby and don't have proper follow-up and lose that baby. The other thing that we're hoping to engage here is more engagement with industry and coming up with ways how we can do that best. More engagement with the regulatory agencies, FDA. We're very delighted that we have somebody here today from the FDA and also somebody here from the NIH who can give us their perspectives, and we're looking forward to learn. Make sure that we're not sort of doing the wrong thing here in terms of engaging new things. And lastly, I think, but not least, the most important thing is really having the patient advocacy here, having your power here, using that to the max to get to our mission. And so, taking all these together, ultimately our goal is to really get to the point where we can do clinical trials. And like I said, there's multiple compounds here. And so, we just need to get going. And I think we're sort of at the way I see this is we're at a threshold where I think a couple of years from now, the discussion will be, well, there's this and this and this trial going on right now, rather than, oh, we want to get ready for the trials.